Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. I'm Kevin Daisey, and I'm your host, always trying to bring you the best guest. And today I have a heavy hitter. We got Luis Scott on the show. He's a previous guest, and I reached out to him and said, hey, I'd love to have you back. Talk about what you're doing now because he's gone a different direction, and he's bringing value to a lot of firms. So, Luis, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to today's conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you were a guest probably a year and a half back.
Yeah.
Had a great conversation then. But I follow Luis and on Instagram. I think we're friends on Facebook and LinkedIn. So I was just watching what he's doing and what he's up to, and I wanted to bring that to you today. So Luis, let's start first with your background, which is extensive. Tell us about kind of how you've come up, your experiences you've had, and then we'll get into what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the legal industry for 20 years, which is insane. I consider myself very young, but I started young. So if you start young, it's easier to be in the game for a long time. But yeah, I started as a part-time receptionist slash interpreter and became the managing partner of the first firm that I ever worked at. Was there 15 years. I left there, started my own firm, and grew it to seven figures. And then I left there and started another partnership, and we grew that to multiple eight figures. And so I've always been in the business side of law firms and working with growing law firms. And so that's my passion. That's what I pursue. And that's what really gives me, energy every single day, just to get up and go out there and build firms and help other people grow their firm as well.
Yeah, and I love that because the business side of it, and not all attorneys know what that is or speak that lingo. They're attorneys, and that's their day to day, and they feel if I just be a good attorney, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, that's not the way it works anymore, right? Because just being a good attorney is not enough to attract business. And I would say there's like two types of law firms. There's the lawyer who happens to own a business, and there's the entrepreneur who happens to be a lawyer. And for me, I was the entrepreneur who happened to be a lawyer. And I think that if you want to grow a predictable and profitable business that doesn't rely on you, you need to put on that entrepreneurial hat and not the lawyer hat.
100%, 100%. Yeah, you still offer good services, help your clients, but as you grow, you're helping more clients, more people. You're expanding that footprint. You're helping more and more people, and I think that's what you need to be doing. That's what you were put here to do. So I love it. So tell us. I'm going to put up a web address for everyone that's just tuning in now. And if you're on audio in your car, truck, driving, it's eight. So that's the number eight, eightfigurefirm.com.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us what you're doing now. Tell us what your company's called, and let's dive into
Yeah, so
that.
eightfigurefirm.com came out of this desire that I had for teaching. I've always loved teaching, and when I was younger, I remember listening to a guy on stage, and he talked about how he wanted to be a basketball coach, but then he realized they made no money. And I was like that person. I wanted to be a baseball coach in high school and be a teacher, and then I realized they made no money, and to me that was very problematic. And so I decided to go for the degree that was going to make the most money. I looked on a chart. The first day of orientation, the chart said accountants, they make the most money coming out of undergrad, $54,000. I was like, oh yeah, that's me right there. And so I went and got an accounting degree. And then I realized that, well, they didn't really make as much money as I wanted to. And then I went and got a law degree just to try to make more money. But I still had this passion for teaching, and I still wanted to help people. I come from a background. My dad was a pastor, and so I think I probably got that teaching gene from him. But I didn't know what kind of teacher I was going to be. Again, they didn't make any money, and so as I started progressing in my career and I started developing my philosophy for growth and and just seeing things as I was growing multiple law firms, and I was seeing things, and I started documenting these things. And my approach is now documented in 4 books. 2 have yet to be released. 2 have been released. The 2 that have been released are called the 9 Principles of Exponential Growth, and the second one is the King of Growth. And those 2 deal with the foundation of your business and the marketing of your business. That's the King of Growth. how to create predictability, and unleashing the power of your law firm for personal and financial freedom. And so 8-Figure Firm came out of that passion, to teach and help other people. And I've been questioned before. People say, in the personal injury space, any day a $100 million case can walk in your door. A $10 million case can walk in your door. Why would you go do something else that is less profitable or has less of an upside? And for me, it was not a money related thing. It was a genuine desire and passion to help people. It was a genuine desire to create an impact that I could not make in a singular law firm. And so that's what 8-Figure Firm's about. It's helping firms develop $10 million in predictable yearly revenue so that the firm supplies their needs instead of them supplying the firm's needs. And to me, that creates the ultimate peace of mind.
No, I love it. And yeah, I think as an entrepreneur too, it's a platform to be able to teach as you hire one person or 10 people or 100 people at constant, coaching, growth, as you're learning too, right? So you're learning and then you're training others, you're teaching them, you're creating leaders below you and all that good stuff. And it's just the whole experience is why I'm in this business. I'm an entrepreneur for sure. And, but, interesting in what you're doing when you build a firm that's doing 10 million or more, right?
Right.
Think about your employees, the opportunities that they have versus you don't grow and you're a 2-person shop, you have an assistant that's been with you forever. Their income probably hasn't moved up. What's the benefits you can offer them? What's the experience you can offer your people and their families?
Mhm.
Not to mention how many people you can help that have a issue or an accident or a legal problem that they need to solve. So again, I think growth is you got to be growing all the time. And for me, my culture, my companies, everyone here knows that they're not even brought on as an employee. They're worked into that, and it's like we're constantly growing here.
Mhm.
Everyone can chip in. Everyone can bring something to the table, and then if you want to grow, be a leader, hire people, whatever, they have those opportunities. And if you're not
Yeah.
growing, you're just not creating that. So
Yeah, and I love this saying that it was if you focus on income, you won't make much of an impact, but if you focus on impact, you'll make a significant income. And I love that phrase because I think people have it backwards. They're like, I need to make 200,000 or 500,000, and then they don't have much of an impact because all they're focused on is making their own money. Whereas if they focused on the impact that they can make in the community, that they can make in the lives of their teams, team members, and people, then they would have this massive financial impact in their life. And so I think that we need to shift the paradigm of how we view our life and how we actually make money.
100%. And we're in the people business, and it's all around, not just our customers, but our employees and everybody. So I was listening to something today. I was actually talking to an employee today, and I was making a video, but we were doing a project for a client, and we were like hounding the client every day, and they were on vacation. We're like, we need this because my team's like, hey, I got a process, I got to get through this. I got tasking, I got things. Yeah, there's a person on the other end. Like, the process can get in the way sometimes of just being like, hey, there's a person that we got to think about. And, it's another coaching moment, but we're in the people business, right? And to your point, if you're taking care of people, you're taking care of your clients, you're taking care of your staff, the money will come. They want to work for you. They want to follow you. They want to see your vision. And the money will follow it for sure. 100%.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, when we talk about we're in the people business, one of the things before I even really understood this concept, I used to say that people before process, people before the work, and that's really hard for employees because they have certain KPIs and they have an expectation of doing their work or billable hours. But I would always say if a person has a need, fill that need before you continue to do your work, and that's how you're gonna really add value. Because if you take care of that person, we'll have so much work that you'll never have to worry about meeting certain KPIs or doing certain things because you are focused on what matters the most, which is the people.
100%. That's exactly the situation I had today. A project manager trying to follow their processes. They have certain KPIs. and their blinders are on, and just, hey, it's cool. Step back, take care of the client, give them some space. It's okay. We'll figure these things out. And so it's trickier. I think, there's a lot of books and processes and things like out there to grow your firm or apply this and that. But that's the part that takes some experience and people like
Yep.
you to say, hey, you can't just dig in and do process so much that it hurts you, right? We have to think about these other things. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I love it. So 8-figure firm, give us a little bit of background on where that is right now.
Yeah.
When you kind of broke off and started that, and the firms that you helped. I want to kind of hear some of those stories.
Yeah, so I love the story of how we came up with the name. In February of 2020, I was in Puerto Rico, and I was there for a wedding, and there was a guy there who was also there for the wedding. He was a friend, and we were at the pool, and I was telling him about starting this consulting business, and he's like, "Let's record one of those videos where you're in Puerto Rico at the pool, saying live the lifestyle." So I got out and we pulled out a
Instagram
camera.
famous.
Yeah. No, I literally had one of those flower button down shirts. I'm at the pool. I have a pina colada, and I'm like, "Hey guys, Luis Scott here from Puerto Rico. Want to tell you, if you are an attorney, you want to live the life that I live, like you need to hire someone who can help you get to the next level." And we recorded this funny video about me living the life. Grant, we weren't there living the life because of the law firm. We were there for a wedding. Like it was not even. It was just funny that we did that. And so we're sitting around the thing, and we were talking about like we're going to help 7-figure firms, and then I don't know if I said it or he said it, but I know it was in collab that we came up with this. And it was like, what about 8-figure firm? Nobody ever talks about 8-figure firms. And believe it or not, I know nobody talked about 8-figure firm because the website was still available,
Oh
right?
wow, that's crazy.
And so 8figurefirm.com was still available in 2020. I'd never heard anybody talk about 8-figure firms. I'd been in the illegal industry for years, never heard of that. And so we immediately captured the website, got the website, got the name. I trademarked 8-figure firm. Another funny thing, I let everybody use the term. I haven't done anything yet, but all of my competition uses 8-figure firm in violation of my trademark. That's it for another podcast. But it's just growing our brand. But here's the thing.
Don't call them out on the podcast.
Right. But here's the thing. We get the name, get the website. But if you build it, they don't come. You got to market. And it took me another 4 or 5 months to actually get a client. So June of 2020, we signed our first client. The first 6 months, we only had 3 clients. And the client that I did sign up went from 700,000 to 2.4 million. And I knew we had that happened in 1 year. And I was like, wow, we have something here that works. And so I had already written the 2 books, and one of them was published, one of them wasn't at the time. The next 6 months, I think we brought on maybe a couple dozen. And now 3.5, our 4-year anniversary would be June of this year. 3.5 years later, we've worked with almost 150 law firms, 20 of which who have reached 8 figures in predictable revenue, and another about 25 who have reached 5 million in predictable revenue. And some of these firms are firms that were stagnant. Like I have a couple of firms that come to mind that were in the $5 to $6 million range for years, for 5, 6, 10 years. And we took their firm and in a matter of 2 years, got them over 10 million. So that's where we are. And that's what I'm so passionate about, is because I know we have something that is unlocking this growth. And here's the thing, 8 figures in revenue is hard. Only 1 out of 667 businesses reach 8 figures in predictable revenue. And today, out of 32 million businesses that are in existence, only 4% of those are still consistently hitting 8 figures in predictable revenue. So it's a very, very hard thing to achieve. But we've set out to help 100 law firms do it. And that's what wakes us up every day is we're 20 down, 80 more to go.
Yeah, so I like that goal. I saw that on your website, and I like that it's measurable.
Yes.
And of course, you can always adjust it once you hit it. So,
of course, yeah,
I'm sure you will. So that's impressive. I mean, obviously, you've built multiple 7 figures and an 8-figure firm, so that's proof in the pudding, right? And I think I say this all the time. There's so many fake coaches out there that have never done any of the work or hit the results.
Right.
They're they're training and coaching based on principles, but they've never been there. So I think that's, the difference that you bring to the table is you have been there. And
Mhm.
so you can look them in the eye and say, hey, do this, this will work. And you have proof of that. And at similar to us, I have multiple 7-figure companies.
Mhm.
If you add them all up, we'll be close to 8 figures soon, hopefully. But
Right.
the stats on businesses that even make it to a million is insane. I mean,
Oh, of
I think
course.
it's
Yeah.
like 4% or something like that. And then 5 years, companies make it even 5 years without going out of business is ridiculous. I don't know what the numbers are for law firms specifically, but I come in contact with a lot of law firms. I
Mhm.
speak to law firms all the time, and I see tons that fold or they go work for someone else. They start, they stop, they flop. They don't know what to do. Or you're the worst case scenario,
Mhm.
they run it for 30 years and bring home 100 grand a year, maybe to themselves, and never grow one
Yeah.
assistant with a co-working space, and that's their life tied to their desk. I talked to some 6 days a week they work. Can't take my call for the podcast because they had a call coming in and they had to take it. So I see a lot of that.
That's real agony in my mind, because the idea that I would work 30 years as a quote unquote business owner and never be able to truly retire, never be able to pass anything on to my children is very disappointing. And I had a law firm owner one time that reached out to us to see if we wanted to buy their firm, but they didn't have anything to buy. They didn't have a website that was worth anything, a phone number that was worth anything, a client list that was worth anything, predictable marketing. There was nothing to buy. And it's just sad to see somebody who works 35 years and essentially has nothing to show for it at the end of 35 years. And so for me, this is my life's calling. For me, this is, how do you set up the legacy of business owners who are in a traditional business, or in a traditional service business that is not easy to set up as a legacy business, right? If you own a auto shop, you could sell that or pass it down to your kids with no problem. Law firms are hard to do that. So how do we do that? And that's one of the reason our tagline on the website is your legacy awaits. Your legacy awaits, because we're not just helping you get to 10 million in predictable revenue so that you can live the life that you want. We're doing it so that your children and your children's children can benefit from the legacy that you're creating, and the staff can benefit from the legacy you're creating. So we're more about legacy building. We're more about growing predictability and creating peace of mind than we are just making money. Like, making money's fun, of course, but that's not the ultimate end. The ultimate end cannot be money. You'll always be dissatisfied if that's your pursuit. If your pursuit is purpose and impact, you're going to make the money, and in the long run, you're going to create a legacy where people will remember you for the rest of eternity, hopefully.
Yeah, and honestly, me personally, I'm 41. And to
Mhm.
think about that for a second, legacy is on my mind more than anything else. Honestly,
Yeah.
I forego pay or distributions or things that me and my partner agree on. We're very conservative, I would say. I don't care about the now necessarily from a money percent standpoint. We do fine, but um, it's my legacy is always in the back of my mind. My kids are
Mhm.
10 and 12. Is moving real fast, right? And
Yeah.
so that to me is my biggest concern and what keeps me up at night. Um, younger entrepreneurs, you start out, you're just trying to make some money. You want to pay your bills. So you want to, and then sometimes you get a little bit greedy and you're like, oh, I'm making a bunch of money. And that kind of gets to your head. But
Sure.
big thing you said, predictable and then legacy. So it's not like, hey, let's just hit $10 million. Yay, we did it.
Mhm.
And then exit, right? It's no, or you're talking about consistent, predictable growth beyond that, and
Mhm.
something that you can lead your employees, sell to them, you lead to your family, or something that's desirable. If you have a website produce leads consistently with a high domain and rating and tons of traffic, that's worth something. If you have systems and processes in place, a strong brand, those things are worth something. And it sounds like you're 100% helping them establish those things and bring importance to those things. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think about this. If I had a website that had created such a brand presence online that every month 10 to 15,000 people, when they searched for a lawyer, landed on my website. They typed in
Mhm.
best X type of lawyer and they landed on my website. And I wanted to sell that, I could sell that. Somebody
I'll
would
buy it
buy
from you.
that, right? So somebody, yeah, somebody would buy that because the value is in the predictability. But there's no predictability in referrals. There's no predictability in the things that traditional lawyers used to do. There's predictability in having a marketing campaign that generates leads with or without you. That's
100%.
where the predictability is. And so I tell people, invest in your brand, invest in your website, invest in your advertising that promotes your firm as an independent entity from you, where a person hires you and they're not expecting you. You know, I have family
Yeah.
members who have hired me in the past as a lawyer. Well, they knew that I didn't really practice law. I was more managing the business. They never expected me to manage their case. I would just pass it to a lawyer in the firm. No problem, right? Because the
Yeah.
brand was big enough that they had confidence in the team that I had hired. And so you really want to develop that brand as big as you can, because the brand is what you're going to be able to sell. And that can be a retirement plan within itself.
100% spot on. I remember, this is a weird story. I'll not take too much of the time since this is your interview, but I used to be a small local agency, right? I
Mhm.
helped local people so I had like a dentist client, and like, hey, this dentist is going to sell in 3 years, but he just wants like a little website for now and didn't have one before. And I was like I was kind of young in the business, but I was like, hey, he's a dental practice, but has no website, no online presence, no nothing. And they're like, yeah, yeah. I was like, well, shouldn't they be considering that in the value of
Mhm.
what the dental practice is worth? And the business, I guess the evaluation guy was like, oh, never thought about that before. And I was just like, you know, if he's getting phone calls all day off his website and through Google
Yeah,
and all these sort of, like, you don't, like, when doctor whatever is gone, there's no more referrals to that guy, that person,
yeah,
right? And if a lawyer retires or leaves or passes away, that's cut off, right? So to build your firm based on relationships and referrals only is, you're always going to have a hit and a step back every time someone leaves the firm. So I think it's just a very risky way to go.
I agree.
And what you're saying is what you should do, 100%. So so 8-figure firm, I love it. I love the idea. I'm glad you're out there helping people, and I'm glad to see someone that, again, has the experience behind it versus just, hey, I'm going to start a business and make money, showing law firms how to do these things. What are some of the things you have? What can someone expect? The lawyers listening right now, what can they expect when if they join or interact with your consultancy events? What does it look like, if you remember?
So I think most of the people come to to 8-figure firm because they want to grow their business, they want to make more money. And I do think that all of that's important. But for me, creating a community of lawyers who are like-minded, who are really striving to become their absolute best, was a big part of the reason that I started this. And so what they can expect, I'm going to start kind of in backwards order, right?
Sure,
What they can
sure.
expect is an amazing community. I think we have an incredible community. The majority of our firms are multi 7-figure firms. We attract people who are already winners. This
Mhm.
is not to say people under 1 million are not winners, but we attract winners. So you can define that however that means. If you think,
That's
if
the
you're
group
under a
I'd want to
million,
be in.
yeah, I mean, well, if you're under 1 million and you think you're a winner, well, then come on over, right? But because we attract winners, we attract highly ambitious people. We attract people who want to create big, massive community impacts, and we attract people who want a business that works for them instead of them working for the business. So first, you're going to find a great community. The second thing is you're going to find essentially a consulting approach based on practical knowledge of growing a business, not on theory. Like, we don't teach theory, we teach what actually works. And you're going to find, in my opinion, some of the best advice you could possibly have for growing your law firm. That's evidenced by the results that we're having. Almost 150 law firms, 20 who are 8 figures, 25 who are 5 figures, or who are 5 million and above. So like the evidence is already there that the product works. And so you're going to find the best advice possible. And so the last thing is you're going to be able to be a part of amazing events. And we host conferences that are not like nothing that you've ever experienced. And I can't give away what we do at the conferences because I'd have to, share the secrets, but the conferences are
You got to
absolutely
join to get the
phenomenal.
secrets.
Yeah, you gotta join. And there's a couple of things that we do at these conferences that are different. Number one, we don't sell at our conferences. We also don't have vendors at our conferences. And I don't have a problem with either of those things, except I want it to be different. And so that was our unique selling proposition. You join, you come to a conference, and you're coming for the information, for the workshop, for the hot seat, for the community, for the for the knowledge. You're not going to have to worry about getting sold to. You're not going to have to worry about having to pay something right there, or a vendor hassling you after the fact. Vendors, the way that we work with vendors is we partner up with them, and once we get to know them and we know they do good work, then we just gladly give referrals. Like, they don't even have to come to our conference and pay $20,000 to set up a booth. We will just gladly refer to vendors when the time is right and the time is appropriate. And so I think that's what you'll find. And we tailor every single approach to the client's needs. And so when a client comes in, we're not sending them through some boot camp or some 12-week process. It's, where are you right now? What is it that your firm needs? And let's get started on those things. And that's what's, I think, sets us apart.
So I'll say I love all that, and I'm a marketing company, and I'm saying I love it. That you won't let me show up at your show. Honestly, I like that. I would not, I'm part of business groups and go to things, and if I could find one that's like, yeah, there's no vendors here and people selling you shit, then 100% sign me up for that, because I don't want any of that stuff while I'm there working on my business.
Right.
If I'd rather get a referral. I'd rather have direct contact and say, hey, here's what we recommend, versus all the big companies out there showing up. They show up to all the shows and they spend a bunch of money. And honestly, the 8-figure firm in this case, you'd be making just tons of money off of sponsors and vendors that are not vetted, or you don't even care. Like, you pay the money, show up. And so I think that's a great idea, and hopefully that makes you guys stand out. I'd say
let me just say
100% it
something
does.
about you mentioned about making all this money. We've been offered 15, 20, because they know, most vendors know we don't have vendors. And we've been offered $15,000-$20,000 for a vendor to come and talk for an hour. Like, people are just throwing money at us, and I'm rejecting it. And to me, that just says something about my commitment. Like, I am so committed to the client experience. I'm so committed to my philosophical belief that I can create a better conference by not having vendors, that I'm willing to give up thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, just to make sure that my clients have the best experience. And I sleep really well knowing that that's the case.
Again, I think that's awesome, and you're definitely different than everybody else out there that I can think of. And I know most of the folks, and I'm good friends with a lot of them, and they run good programs.
Sure.
But it's, I feel like everyone thinks, to do this, I have to do a conference, and I have to do all this stuff, and I have to have vendors to pay for it, and all that stuff. And I think you're doing it right, and hopefully you'll continue to do it that way. I think it's awesome. I think it's genius.
Thank you.
So, good job. Pat on the back. I listened to Alex Ramosi, or like Andy Frisella. They said they don't have ads on their stuff. They're like, hey, I could charge millions to run ads on my podcast, but we don't. So, they just want to give out free information. Like, and so their ask is always, hey, just share it.
Yep.
We don't, and I don't run ads on this podcast. But it's, I love that concept. It's not many people that do it, because you can make an extra 100 grand, 200 grand in your pocket,
Right.
So yeah, it says a lot about your
Absolutely.
commitment.
I
So,
appreciate that.
well, so from a firm standpoint, okay, firms listening right now, they're like, oh, am I too small to join? Should I even reach out? What does it look like? And do you have like a different categories? Do you have, I know I was in some groups where it was like, all right, if you do 500,000 or under, you're in this group. If you do up
Mhm.
to $1 million, you're in this group. And I remember I was in a group and we were like 1.5 million, and they're like, yeah, there's a $3 million group. And I was like, I want to be in that group because I don't want to
Yeah,
talk to people that are side by side. I want to freaking talk to
totally.
the other people that are crushing it. So I weaseled our way into the higher group. And so how does that work? And is there firms that are too small, or is it just a price point that kind of makes up
Yeah,
the difference?
so we want firms that are a million and above, because we have a 1 to 10 strategy. We can get any firm from 1 to 10 in 5 years or less if they follow our system. And I have taken firms under a million if they make a commitment, uh, uh, to stay the whole year, right? So like if they say, look, I will commit to the whole year no matter what, like I'm gonna tie you into a very binding contract kind of thing, because smaller firms tend to quit a lot easier for whatever reason. And
Yeah.
so we'll take somebody about 750, but under that we don't really take anybody. We don't have groupings, but we do have different product offerings that start from 36,000 to 240,000, is our product offering. But if a person wanted to experience what we do, and they wanted to come meet the community, we allow people to come to one conference for $1,500. They pay
Nice.
$1,500. It covers the cost. They can come to one of our conferences and experience the community. And so it's a great way to get your foot in the door. And our next one's in Chicago in May, and it's called Conquering Cash. So it's how to
Oh,
tame
nice.
that money monster and make sure it's working for you. So it'd be a great one for anyone who was really wanting to test the waters.
Oh yeah. So I like that you have those options, but you're
Mhm.
also kind of exclusive and but you're serious about what you're doing.
Yeah,
And where you're not doing all these vendors and all that other stuff and you're pushing all this crap on them, you, you got to make your money and you're serious about what you're going to deliver. So I think
absolutely.
again, transparent, it's straightforward and it's proven. So I think what you're doing, the whole structure of it is spot on. So that's Chicago in May, 8figurefirm.com. I assume all the information's on there, right?
Yep, it'll be on the
Cool.
website.
Well, Luis, I don't want to take up your whole day, but anything else you'd like to share? Again, I'm super excited for you. I love watching you, on social media. Everyone,
Thank
please
you.
follow him on LinkedIn, Instagram. I think is it just Luis Scott on all these platforms?
Yeah, you can find me on Luis Scott. My personal website's luisscottjr.com. So LuissScott.com. And you can find links to all my social media, my books, speaking engagements, or booking me for speaking, or information about 8 Figure Firm. And yeah, so just reach out, and love to help anybody who's interested. And we're committed to getting to 100 firms who reached 8 figures in predictable revenue. So that's our commitment.
Yeah, that's huge. And even like 1 to 10, I like that strategy. I mean, yeah, think about this. Like I've had multiple, $1 million firms. To go from 1 to 10 in 5 years, that's impressive. That's
Yes.
plenty growth there. And I'm sure
Yes.
a lot of folks can do a lot faster than that. So
Yes.
um and then I'll just leave you with this. I love the fact that you started with 7 figure. We're in a thing called 7 figure agency. Uh,
Okay.
one of my new companies. The
Gotcha.
president was like, "Hey, I want to join this group." And we're like, "Okay, well, it's $1,200 a month. I don't know." Anyway, great idea, but once you hit 7 figures, they're like, "You graduate, you're out of the group." And it's like, well, like that's just we're just getting warmed up here. So
Yeah.
I thought they kind of missed the boat on the opportunities, but I love the fact that you're like, you know what, 8 figure. Let's let's take this a little bit further. So I think I like that. It's aggressive, bigger goals to shoot for. So
Absolutely.
I love it.
Appreciate
So
that.
all right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for turning in. 8figurefirm.com. Check Luis out. Again, follow his content. He's just sharing tons of good stuff. He's been there, done that. And I'm excited to watch him grow and help all these firms. So I'll be watching and seeing what he's doing. Hopefully he'll take my calls in a couple years when I can get a hold of him. So,
Absolutely.
all right, everyone. Luis, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone have a great day. Get out there, grow your firms, get serious about it, help people, and have a great day.